Hey all, welcome back. This is Annie Mel, and my name is Mel, your host and your guide to either new anime or getting into anime. I think most of us can identify with the fact that October, November, and December, for some odd reason, you're just like busy. Whether it be because of the holidays or your job just gets like super hectic, or if you're a student and I don't know, like you have finals, right? Midterms, yeah, all that jazzy great stuff. And I think like for most people, we still want to enjoy our life, and sometimes enjoying our life and relaxing is inclusive of watching TV, whether it be movies, TV shows, or anime. I think it goes without saying that there are a lot of animes that are very long, and we quite frankly just don't have the time to watch it all. We don't have the time to invest in One Piece. We don't have the time to watch Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. We quite frankly just don't have the time. I'm here today to help you save some time, whether it be just for the busy season or just in general because you want to watch anime but you just don't have the time. The anime that we'll be going over today are relatively short, 11 to 13 episodes at max, so let's not waste any time and let's get into it. Number one on our list is an action-packed kind of thriller. I don't know if it's a thriller, but it's definitely an action-packed anime that's driven by a whole crime heist. And this crime heist is being basically run by like high-ranking classed criminals. I don't know, I guess that's the best way that I can say it. These criminals are known as Akagama, and the name of the anime is called Akagama Drive. Essentially, we follow all of these criminals around as they try to accomplish a task that they've quote-unquote been hired for. Rather actually forced to do by the contractor placing bomb collars on their necks, and if they don't fulfill their tasks, their necks will essentially blow up. And sadly, a poor woman who is not a criminal at all and is caught at the location in which all these criminals gather just because she kind of like, didn't pay for her food, and it's just because she didn't have the change for it. She had the money, they just didn't accept credit or cash or electronic. They only accepted like hard money. I think most of us can feel for that now. Who pays with cash anymore? Regardless, totally wrong place, wrong time for her. Not a criminal at all, but now she's been labeled a criminal and she must pretend to be a criminal amongst all these other criminals so they don't find her, odd and, kill her. You survival of the fittest type of situation here. You gotta blend in to survive. But as they continue to commit this heist or complete this heist that they've been contracted to do, she has to essentially engage in unsavory things. But in doing these things, she also realizes that the government that's chasing her will do whatever means or will do whatever possible to catch them. And as you continue to watch the show and the plot unfolds, the government's means of how they must catch these criminals, or what the government is also hiding, becomes questionable as well. So you've got this class of criminals called Akudama, but then you've got the government and law enforcement that are kind of like, are you sure you people are doing this for the greater good of everybody else? Or is this all in your self-interest? Both of these two dynamics are what make the show makes it so damn great, but the animation is also chef's kiss and beautiful. If you watch it just for the animation alone, you won't be mad. I promise you. Now, if you're like me and sometimes need a break from action once in a while, you may look into other genres, whether they be mysteries or whether they be thrillers, romance, you name it. Death Parade is a little bit different in the sense that it's kind of like a psychological thriller-esque mystery, more psychological thriller, I think, where they dive into another new concept of the afterlife, where you have a bartender. This bartender runs a bar. He's got a couple of customers that come in through elevators and they don't know how they got there. When they arrive, the bartender persuades them to play a game. And they can't leave until they play said game. They try to leave, they can't leave, so they play the game. And obviously they're reluctant to play the game because this game requires them staking their lives. What they don't know though is that they're already dead. And that the life they are actually staking is what will happen to them now that they are dead. This location is kind of like a in-between to determine what happens to these souls, whether they are lost forever in the abyss or they are reincarnated. And while each individual story of characters that come into the bar that have passed is kind of interesting, just to kind of understand what their life was like before and how they are judged in the afterlife. Because these games that they play are meant to bring out their personal characteristics so that the bartenders, or I guess the afterlife judges, I don't know what you want to call them, they're bartenders though, can properly evaluate what will happen next to them. But I'm sure, as most people know, one event or game that brings out certain characteristics of a person cannot be the only method in which you are judged. You've got a whole life before you that should also be analyzed, as well as the complication of human emotion and why people do things. Some stuff people may do some stuff that people do that's bad, they're doing it for some good, and some people that believe that they're doing good is actually really bad. There's a lot of gray area that I think we experience as human beings. Not that I'm saying like go out there and do bad things because you think it'll help the greater good, but I think that it's safe to say that everyone has a moment in their life where things just feel very gray and they're not as black and white. And within this specifically, we get to watch these bartenders who are actually void of emotion start to understand like the meaning of being human and like the emotions that go into being human and how important it is for you to have emotions to fully understand the situation in which a human is in. I think it's a fantastic way to take a break for some action, and if you like that kind of like afterlife concept, it's really engaging and it makes you kind of think. I will say though, there is like a little Death Note Easter egg in there, so if you've watched Death Note, I highly encourage you watch this just for the sake of seeing the Easter egg. In addition to liking thrillers, or psychological thrillers rather, mysteries are fun. I don't know about you, but watching Scooby-Doo growing up was fun. It's not an anime, but it always had like that fun, cute, quirky mystery to it. And it kind of just always has you like on the edge of your seat, but like a fun kind of edge of your seat, not like, you know, holy crap, what's gonna happen next? Kind of like, oh wow, I wonder, you know, who did it? I wonder who committed the crime. I wonder who's innocent. Odd Taxi kind of brings that little element for you, and what's great is that there's also talking animals too. All the people in the Odd Taxi universe are animals. Yes. And our main character, who's a walrus, drives a taxi. He is an odd character in itself, and I think that's why it's called Odd Taxi. Also because the events that happen in that taxi are kind of odd. So our main character, this walrus, he's kind of like a little asocial, just likes to keep to himself. He has trouble sleeping, so he likes to drive his taxi at night. He's encountered very odd individuals in his taxi as well, including an odd instance in which he picked up a woman once who is a pop star or idol star and disappeared. The police are now on the look for her, and this leads to a lot of attention being drawn to him because essentially the news or the police, they suspect that he was the last person to see her. There's no other indications of what happened to her after the shortly after she left. And obviously, he has like little footage, a little dashboard cam in his vehicle, which the police are after. But not only are the police after it, but the suspected person who killed this person is also after it. But there are so many people that are actually inquiring for this footage, it leaves you guessing who actually kidnapped this woman, or for worse, killed this woman, because we don't know if she's dead yet or not. Being a man who just wants to keep to himself, or a walrus, I don't know, wants to keep to himself, he finds himself in all these precarious situations. And when push came to shove, because he couldn't take it anymore, he kind of gets involved in it. He's trying to figure out essentially what happened to this girl. And what's great is he's actually extremely perceptive. So he is who we follow throughout the story, and we see through his eyes just what actually may be going on. Now, with all mysteries, looks may be, and always is, deceiving. You are in for a real shocker when it does end. Not only about the mystery itself and once it's solved, but actually the overall show will shock you. I have not told y'all, but I am a huge sucker for romance. Love romance. Romance comedies more specifically, but romance, the whole genre in itself, I think I could watch endlessly. So it would be horrible of me if I did not give you a romance. But more specifically, it's a romance comedy. I've got to say, it made me laugh a lot, and I also related a lot. This one is called Otaku Love is Hard for Otaku. And the word or phrase otaku may be unfamiliar to you. So let's quickly run through what it means. An otaku is essentially someone who's extremely immersed in something that they may enjoy, and to a large extent. Otaku is usually used in reference to someone who is grossly engaged in perhaps anime and manga, or video games, or gaming period in general, and just like how they engage with it. And this may be seen in the form of cosplaying. Their main source of entertainment is watching anime, like me. They're hardcore manga readers, or they're just hardcore video gamers where, like, you know, they come home and they video game at work, they video game between work, on their lunch breaks, like just all the time, endlessly. And our main character, Narumi, she is introduced to us in the form that she's starting a new job and she's late for work. And in starting this new job, she's kind of trying to explain why she changed to this new job. But we get context later that the real reason she moved jobs is that at her old job, she was dating someone, and this particular someone, he found out that she was an otaku. The specific type of otaku that she was is a yaoi otaku, which is essentially like another phrase for boy love, like manga and anime. I suggest you guys just look it up. Anyway, in her boyfriend finding out, he's kind of like mortified. I don't know if it's mortified or if she's just ashamed, and she tries to run away from the situation by quitting her job and moving to a completely new town so that she can start anew and recreate her identity. That's really extreme. Imagine dating somebody and just like uprooting your life because they found out that you're really into like anime or something. That would suck. Oh my god, that sounds expensive. Regardless, long story short, don't be ashamed about your love for anime, manga, and video games. There's nothing to be ashamed of. But I will say that I'm sure at any point in our lives, if you've been a fan of anime for a long time, you've probably concealed it from people that you've tried to date. I have, probably from one or two people, not all of them. I kind of take the opportunity to gauge their own interests first and then let them in. on my interests. Regardless, back to the anime. So, at her new job, she actually realizes that she's working with one of her childhood friends who is also an otaku, and he's the type of otaku who's really into video gaming, like video gaming endlessly. And they both also meet other co-workers who are other otakus, a woman who likes to cosplay as men, and her boyfriend who's really into romance anime that's supposed to be geared towards younger women, but it could be geared towards anybody. It's your choice, your flavor. And you're kind of watching these characters grow to learn and be with each other and be friends with each other, because they've never had friends in their lives that they can share mutual interests with. So it's kind of like a beautiful growth sort of thing that I can identify with. And another thing that I love about it is that they're adults. Usually when I watch anime, even romance anime specifically, it's about high schoolers. You're in high school, boy meets girl, they fall in love, but they don't want to tell each other that they've fallen in love. No, it's literally none of that. It's oh, I think you're cute, let's go on a date, you get to know each other. More relatable, at least to someone at my age. And I think that's why I gravitated to it so much. So look, if you're also dating and you're really into anime, but you don't know if you should tell your date that you're into it so soon in the relationship or on the first date, I highly suggest you watch the show. I think you'll totally relate. And after you relate to it, I think you might feel a little like me, where I just was I don't really care who knows. I'm gonna tell whoever I feel like it. And I've been able to just open up to people a little bit about my interests without feeling weird or ashamed, which I never should have anyway, and nor should you. Now I'd like to tie things up in a nice little bow and talk about a sports anime. This sports anime is specifically geared towards figure skating. And I think it goes to say that whenever we watch the Winter Olympics, if you are a Winter Olympic watcher, figure skating is probably the #1 viewed sport within the Olympics. At least that may be my own perspective. Yuri on Ice follows a specific figure skater around, and his name is Yuri. Yuri is a figure skater in his early 20s who is having a hard time with his figure skating career and is looking to essentially figure out if he wants to retire or not. He returns home, takes a break from figure skating to determine what he will do next about his career. In being at home, he kind of is in a safe space, and he has a very good friend that owns a skating rink. He goes there often to just clear his mind, be in a safe space, and enjoy figure skating like he used to. And I think the competitions may have been bogging him down emotionally in that reason. Now, while he's filming in his quote-unquote safe space, his best friend does have some children, and these children are also figure skating fanatics. They think it's oh so cool that Yuri, who is their mom's friend, is there skating at their rink, so they decide to upload him skating a routine by a really famous other figure skater whom he looks up to. This figure skater finds his YouTube video online and decides that he's gonna fly all the way to Japan to coach Yuri. This story then unravels into a very beautiful growth experience for Yuri, in which he continues to pursue his career as a figure skater, learns to be confident in himself, and to skate with such grace and beauty that he normally owns and practices, but fumbles in competitions. And he grows to push himself to do techniques and routines that he's never tried to before because he didn't have the confidence to. And his coach also helps push him so that he can grow to be a better person. I think it goes to say that anybody enjoys a great sports story where the athlete just overcomes their own personal challenges, their own physical challenges, emotional and mental challenges. But to add additional beauty to this is that once Yuri comes to a place where he's learning about himself, growing his confidence, being a better figure skater and a competitor and an athlete, he also grows to learn that there are things in this world that he is growing to love. And one of these things, or rather persons, is his coach. And it is a beautiful, I don't know if representation is the word, but for lack of better words, it's a great depiction of LGBTQ plus love and romance in animes that's not normally depicted this well. I haven't seen a lot of them, but this one does a beautiful job on showing kind of like the growth of their relationship, or the spark of their relationship. And it's just such a touching, it's just super touching, to the point that I have to say that I'm thoroughly ashamed that this year was the first time I watched it, and it's been out for a few years now. So personally, even if you don't love figure skating, if you like sports in general, I think you could appreciate the amount of training that Yuri goes through to get himself to the place in which the show ends. And again, it's not a long show, so you don't really have anything else to watch after it. It's about 12 episodes, but the growth from episode 1 to episode 12 is enormous. And the personal growth as well, I think, would resonate with any person. It just makes you feel just so full inside, like a whole flower has bloomed in your chest. At least that's how I felt when I watched it. So, at the risk of making this too long, because like we discussed already, we got stuff to do, responsibilities, and it's like a busy season. We're nearing the end of October. November is about to start. If you live in America, that means Thanksgiving plus the holidays. If you work a desk job, it's probably like Q4 and it's intense, and work is probably stressing out, and you don't have time to sit down and enjoy your animes like you usually do. Here are just some great short ones. You don't have to commit too much. There aren't additional seasons for you to watch, which is great. So, you know, if you have the time during the weekend, you could probably binge it all in one sitting. Or if you genuinely don't have the time but have like an hour a week to enjoy TV, you can probably get an episode or two in and gradually work your way through it. Thanks for joining me again today. I appreciate you all coming back. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like or hit the subscribe and continue to come back for more content. I'll be back next week. Bye.